when you get these negative thoughts, the thing is to catch them, like to be aware that the thought comes up at that time. And then you need to flip it. Go, what is the opposite of that? Like, could be, I'm not good at speaking. If someone says, I like, speaking, because speaking is a bit of a fear of a lot of people. So then it said, well, what do I want it to be? What's the opposite of that? I'm a great speaker.
I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that will reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life who want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. Today I get to speak with Athin Cassiotis. Born and raised in Adelaide, South Australia, he was always an ambitious and creative person. From selling VCD movies in high school to becoming the head of business development for a large environmental firm at the age of 19, his journey was not without its challenges. Rejecting the idea of university, Athin decided to learn on the job, and after 8.5 years, set out to take the next step in his career. With his determination and knowledge, he was accepted into an MBA program, and after completing half the courses, left to start his own business. With the help of mentors and some luck, he was able to take his business to new heights and has now established himself as a successful business coach and podcaster. His story is a testament to the power of resilience and ambition and proves that success can be achieved in any form. Let's listen in and gain some value as he shares his amazing journey. Athin Cassiotis. Tell me, Athin, did I say that right?
You did, mate. Athin Cassiotis, you got it right. And yes, Junaid, you've got to love different names, right? In business, keeps it interesting.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. We met a few months ago over at the Power Networking events and the profitability networking events that Phil Falucha puts together, and this guy is really phenomenal. So any people that are attracted to him, I know they're a good company to be with.
Yeah, awesome, mate. I love how we connect in different ways, and definitely awesome to be part of Phil's group and connect, and let's share some magic today.
Absolutely, man. So let's get started, and let's start with the origin story. I like to say, for the past decade and a half, we've been watching a ton of superhero movies, and I just love superheroes. And when they when they started talking about, hey, this is the origin story of this movie or of this character, I was like, hey, I'm going to take that and I'm going to hand it to my entrepreneur friends that are coming on here on the podcast to talk about what they've done in the world and how they've came from zero to hero, from how they've taken their passion into progress. So, Athin, I would love for you to share with us how you got started, what motivated you, what keeps you going.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I grew up in Adelaide, South Australia, so over way here, down under, and it's a smaller capital city, right? So it's a bit more of a sort of big country town type feel. Parents were high school teachers as well. So they sort of, put me through the school system a lot back then, and, like to play some sport. And I ended up selling, I don't know if you remember VCD movies. This is before DVD.
I remember VCDs. Yeah.
They were on 2 CDs. So my cousin, when the first CD burners came out, I got one, and my cousin was getting these movies and I was burning them, and I would get a big order, like at least 5 of the people that wanted them, and I would sell them for like $10 each. So that was like my entrepreneurial journey starting in about year 10. I was about 15 or so. And towards the end of high school, I didn't really enjoy it. I had some issues in my final year and ended up dropping out. And my parents, being high school teachers, you can imagine, didn't like that. So they tried to get me into university a different way. That didn't really happen. So in the end, my dad's like, you have to get a job. I was like, all right. So put myself out there, had 2 companies come up for me. And in the end, I got a job with a big environmental company, and I was 18. And for being a trainee, I got given all major reporting for 2 states because one of the IT guys left when I was like just turned 19 years old.
Wow.
Rewrote the sales report, did a lot of cool projects, the main person to implement SAP, the global computer system. So I did a lot of cool projects and showing my value. And my parents, showed me computers when I was about 6 years old from then onwards. So quite, similar to the youth of today. And then, basically I was going to become a sales rep, but then they wanted me in the office, and almost I was shadowing them. And then just before I was going to become one, the head office in Sydney tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, we've got a position opening up, to be the middleman with our national accounts and the business development department here. And I thought, why not? I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. I had a couple of cousins in Sydney. So I thought, it's a good way to get out there and just, see what it's all about into the big city. And it was definitely a big change in terms of the pace and everything, but I love a challenge. And from there, I did a lot of great stuff, a lot of awesome projects as well, working on big tenders, helping win clients with the pricing and efficiency projects, etc. And then I wanted to learn more about business because all these people had all these degrees and things like that. I just learned on the job, right? And I could see I was a bit out of it. And then I worked out I could get into doing an MBA, Master of Business Administration, based on experience of over 8 years working. Yeah. And I'd worked there for 8.5 years. So I was like, all right. I got in, I started that MBA and got through about half the subjects, the core subjects. And then there was a management change. Wasn't enjoying it. I was put under extreme amounts of stress for my final year. And after 10.5 years, I left the business. And I did the crazy thing where you probably heard the analogy of burning the boats. Everyone was like, oh, get a job, maybe do something. Because I was like, I want to do a business and things like that. I was like, no, I'm just going to quit and start my business the next day. No momentum, right? No, nothing. So I really went in the deep end, and it was sort of sink or swim. But it was an interesting, I think opportunities come to us at certain times, and we have to be open enough to take them. And about 3 months in, one of my friends bought a ticket to like a 3-day business boot camp type of event. And he said, do you want to join me? He got offered a free ticket 1 week before. And I was like, I'm in. And, it was like massive days, mindset, marketing, sales, all these things. Yeah. And that was a key catalyst for me. Even though I had my MBA knowledge, it was just something else to give me a kickstart of what I needed. And then from there, I got Westfield, the biggest shopping center group here in Australia, also in the UK. I got them as a client, did their national waste tender. I got, one of the top 2 supermarkets. I work with Kmart and Target, 2 of the biggest department stores here and in the US for many years now, 3-4 years. Yeah. Work with defense. So there's a lot of things that happen from there and, working that way up. And then, basically people would come to me and just ask, questions about when I meet them at networking events and things like that. Oh, Athin, what do you think about this? And I'd be like, why don't you do like 1, 2, 3? They're like, oh, this is great. I need to write this down. Yeah. And I realized I had a very good memory, but also a good brain to connect dots. So I thought, well, I need to create a business out of this basically. So I started my, business coaching, mentoring business almost 3 years ago now. And from that first business success, now be able to share and my knowledge and wisdom with other people, and then really helping that in service-based businesses that I'm focusing on in that area there. And then yourself, one of my big coaches said, you need a podcast, you need a show, and created, the Business Grow Show, and interviewing a lot of awesome entrepreneurs and even celebrities on there about areas there. So do some speaking, everything like that. So there was a lot of challenges. And with all of that story, my dad said to me, when I was at school, he said to me, you'll never be able to study. My dad had 3 degrees. And because I dropped out of school, that was what he told me. And my teachers, when I dropped out, said, you'll never be successful, right? And I'm competitive with my sport with soccer. I've won many championships as well as tennis. And I was like,
Yeah.
watch me prove you wrong. And I did my MBA. I finished it, even though it was extremely challenging for me to study. I pushed through the resilience, grit there. And I proved my teachers wrong, that I can still be successful without finishing school and do it a different way. So yeah, that's the interesting origin story, how I've got to where I am today. And I'm sure there's many more challenges along the way as well.
I love it, man. The challenges are the one that help us grow, that help us see what we can and possible are able to do. And I'm sure you had a lot of people around you that were cheering you on. Even though your dad and your teachers told you that you'd never be successful or you'd never be able to study, you had it in yourself. You saw the clarity that, hey, I'm able to do this. I really want to get to that next level. And the way there is through this course or is through this studying through the MBA program. And what's beautiful is that when you're studying those courses along with other students, what happens, that energy transfer, the energy in the room, the energy of other people helps and inspires us to keep moving forward. And I see a lot of that because you have that in-person experience. You have that tenacity to keep working on yourself and keep growing. And when others promote us, when others believe in us, even though one or two people didn't believe in us, a lot more people are already believing in us. It helps us grow and get to that next level.
Yeah, definitely, mate. It's so true. And, it's really powerful. And there's going to be both people. And I think I naturally, I guess, drifted from certain friends or certain acquaintances because they weren't on the same path as me. And I think that's a good little thing there, is that you don't have to like just cut people from your life. You just don't speak to them, really. You don't reach out.
Automatically, yeah.
Yeah, it just happens. And then you find, the people that are, entrepreneurial as well, or just positive minded that you meet, in whether it's in person or online, and you just start to connect with them more, and you just put out that white noise, and it all helps along the journey.
Man, I love that. What kept you motivated, even though, and you mentioned that earlier, you wanted to prove them wrong, right? We need a challenge. And as an athlete yourself, you played soccer. That soccer is one of the hardest sports to play because there's no pauses in this game. You're continually go, go, go. You're running from one end to the other end. You're blocking the ball. You're taking the ball. You're running with the ball. It is a very competitive sport, more competitive compared to basketball or football or any other sports because you're running on a really large field. So having that capability to work hard, you're like, hey, what if I turn it inside, right? And you're able to pull that through and build these successful businesses.
Yeah, definitely. I think sport's a great thing. A lot of people, entrepreneurs, a lot of the, with that resilience and grit, it's like sport or something that you've been disciplined in for a while. It could be martial arts, it could be other things. For me, it was sport, and you have to put in the work. You're right. You'd run a lot. You'd be put through your hard yards in training multiple times a week. It gets to game day. Your mind has to be in the right frame of mind as well. Like, we're going to win. And I played in defense a lot of the time. I've played on the wings. I've played in attacking roles as well, but I was best in defense. In defense, you make one mistake, that could be a goal, right? That you lose. So you have to be on point in that. And, I just, had those beliefs in me that I was one of the best players out there. And my best role actually was, whoever the best guy is in the team, put me on him because he won't do anything in the game, right? So I can take out the best player. And I did it many times, and just learning through those times, because you don't win every game, right? Or you might go one goal down in the game. You've got to pick yourself up and go, it's all right, it happened, reset, and keep moving forward. So that's like entrepreneurship, right? Every day things can happen and it doesn't go well sometimes, but you're like, one of my coaches told me, if you have 50 good days a year, you can be a millionaire. That's like one day a week, right? 50 good days a year.
Amen.
And that it's true, right? Where things go wrong a lot of the time. So I think you've got to just stick in there. And another quote, you will never fail if you never quit. And most people stop too early, right? It's like you're getting towards that mountain and it just gets a bit hard, and most people just quit at that point. But if you just keep going that little bit further, you're going to get over that thing. You're going to be that 3 feet from gold, whatever it is. And then the momentum just shifts. much more.
Man, I love that so much because when you mentioned, right, in sport, you're failing, you're missing the ball, you're going one direction, another direction. It's almost like failing fast. When you fail fast, you're able to make a judgment call and change the entire trajectory of the game because you know that's not where you want to be heading. And like you mentioned, entrepreneurship is the same way. You're continually deciding, you continually readjusting and tweaking how the systems work. Oh, this is not working. This email campaign is not working. This AB page is not working. I need to change it. We have so much data available to us that we're able to make those judgment calls and make the right decision. And the reason we do so much practice, right? So you have muscle memory, and with that muscle memory, you don't ever have to think again because your body is already conditioned to take those challenges, to hit those balls in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. It's so true with all of that, especially the muscle memory. Like, I think there's a great saying. There's a limiting belief. We talk a bit about beliefs here, right? Because I think beliefs and mindset is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things growing up was practice makes perfect. But I don't like that saying because nothing's perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you try and strive for perfection, you're going to be doing things for too long and it's going to take too long. You're not going to be successful. You're probably going to go backwards.
Yeah.
So instead of that, a great reframe is practice makes permanent, right? Yes. And that's exactly what you said. The more you do it, whether it's in sport, in soccer or another sport, or you do it in business, whether you're learning how to speak on camera on a podcast or, whatever it is, you're on stage or you're just delivering a meeting or a pitch to someone, the more you do that, the more you practice, the more easier it becomes. And then your baseline increases. And then you're like, okay, what else can I do to make myself even better? And it's like that constant growth of how do I become better?
Man, I love that. Dude, this has been a really fun conversation, Athin. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, how you got started, what's keeping you motivated, and the analogies between soccer and entrepreneurship and failing fast and switching the game and, gunning for that goal, because that's the idea behind any business. To be successful, I mean, we've watched soccer games. These are 90-minute games where maybe at the end of the game, maybe there's just one goal, right? It's so intense, this game. It's so true. Just having one good day can make you a millionaire. All right. So let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and Athin's going to share with us 3 hacks to take away. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that will reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Welcome back, guys. We've been speaking with Athin Cassiotis. I have to keep turning my head to look at his name. But Athin's been a really good sport, and he's literally a soccer player where he's won many championships, won many games, and he's applying some of those strategies from soccer, from sports, into his business for the past, how many years has it been, Athin?
I've been in business, my own businesses for 5.5 years, my first business, but obviously been working for, 16, 17
Quite some
years.
time. There you go. So he's got decades of experience. He's been applying that. And over time, we get better each day. And like the quote he mentioned earlier, if we win 50 days in a year, you're doing good. That's one day a week. If you're winning one day a week, you're already on the way to the top place possible. Athin, thank you so much for that quote, man. It's going to be resonate in my mind for so long that I'm going to have to write it down because that is pure inspiration.
Love it, mate. You're very welcome. And yeah, that's what it's all about, right? Inspiring each other to win and grow.
Amen. All right, let's take it away. You've got 3 hacks to share with us. What are they and how can we implement in our lives?
Yeah, love it. So the first one, I'm going to talk about mindset because I think mindset, I can teach people the same thing to 10 different people and we get 10 different results. And the main reason is because of their mindset. So I think it definitely has to be a mindset hack. So a lot of us get limiting beliefs. So there's, things that pop up in our mind. Now, this could be because of our parents growing up. My dad told me, money's the root of all evil hundreds of times. I remember growing up, not a great belief to have. And I had to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad to reframe that. It's a lack of money is the root of all evil as an example. So when you get these negative thoughts, the thing is to catch them, like to be aware that the thought comes up at that time. And then you need to flip it. But what is the opposite of that? Like, could be, I'm not good at speaking. If someone says, I like, speaking, because speaking is a bit of a fear of a lot of people. So then it said, well, what do I want it to be? What's the opposite of that? I'm a great speaker. Whatever it is, something like that, whatever resonates for you as the opposite of what's the ideal belief that you want. And then literally say it out loud 3 times, unless you're in like a public space, a little bit crazy or whatever, then maybe just say it in your head a few times in that way. That is really powerful. And even another way on top of that, what I did with my wife told me this trick is if it's something deep-seated belief, even write it, somewhere in your house, like whether it's on a mirror or on a piece of paper on the wall, have it where you can see it visually, this new belief, if it's something that's been ingrained in you a long time. And then I put them in my phone as well, so that as I do it, if I'm walking around, like going for a walk and it comes into my mind, I flip it, I say it, and I put it in my little notes. And and then each morning I would tell myself these new beliefs in the present tense, which is important too. Make sure it's in the present tense. So it's not like I'm going to be a great speaker. It's I am a great speaker. Yeah. That's really important as you say it. And the more of these I am statements of who you are, you will be able to change your beliefs like by yourself. Yes, coaches can help us to, get there a lot quicker among other different ways of doing that. But that is a really powerful way that yourself, if you pick these up and eventually, like now, I rarely get limiting thoughts because I've trained my brain. It's, we talked earlier about the sport analogy of that practice, right? When you do that, the brain just thinks, okay, well, it's more positive now, and you get rid of a lot of those things. So that's a really powerful, simple mindset hack that you can really help yourself to get to that next level as well.
Man, I love that. Mike, excuse me. I love that. Absolutely. And what's beautiful, right? When we're hanging out with people and they tell us something positive about us, guess what? That's doing the same effect of us telling that positive thing about us, because it's reassuring to our mind that, oh, I am already great at this. I don't have any problems. And what's beautiful thing about our minds is that our mind doesn't understand negative. Now, this was something Simon Sinek talked about in one of his videos I watched. And he said, if I tell you to not think about the elephant, guess what you're thinking about? The elephant, right? Because our mind does not understand the negative. So anytime we want to focus on something, make sure that it's a positive thing. Make sure it's something that's going to help you grow. So when you said, I am a great speaker, say it in the positive tense, the present tense. Our mind says, oh, I have nothing to worry about. Let's go on and make it happen.
Definitely. Love that, mate. So true. And great additional point there of the not the negative. So remove any of those words and definitely reframe it in the positive tense. I didn't practice these hacks, right? I like to do things.
No, you're good. You're good.
What comes up to me, and what's coming up with me right now is actually something else, a little bit on mindset, but how we relate to other people as well. Is what people say about us is actually a reflection of themselves. This is really powerful. So if someone says, like my dad says, you can't study or something like that, it's probably him, right? Or, whatever it is in that way. So understand that people are going to put you down. People are going to tell you that you can't do something. Why are you doing that? This is too hard, or whatever it is like that. It could be speaking. Like I'm telling people I'm going to speak on the bigger stages. Oh, that's too hard. You can't do that. It's actually them that they think it's too hard to do, right? So be aware of this, that people, even you might have great positive people around you, there are still going to be negative people. Now, some people might be a little bit narcissistic, negative, that you want to move away from. Just don't contact them and drift as a strategy. But there's still going to be people that are going to tell you things are hard or you can't do something.
Yeah.
And it's because of their own limiting beliefs. So just be aware of that and go something like, that's fine if you believe that. I'm choosing to believe that it's easy, or whatever it is like that. Yeah. And I am already this person. So thank you for your thoughts, but this is what I'm going to do. That's a great way of not just putting it into their faces and going, that's crap or whatever like that in terms of what you're telling me, but actually just, acknowledge what they said. Okay, that's nice to know what you think. This is what I'm choosing to believe about this situation, or whatever it is like that. So it's a nice way to just get them to think, okay, cool. Athin's thinking a bit differently here about what he can do. And then I say, just watch me. It'll happen as well. At the same time, you'll see these things are happening, and it has happened in the past. And having that real focus on where you want to go and being aware of that. So yeah, that's a really big one, about understanding how other people are. And then, so some people may not be negative. It just may be their own limiting beliefs. Yeah. And you may be able to help them to reframe that, because it's harder unless you're a coach, which, I am and people are. You can understand your own thoughts and how people are. For other people, it's not as natural. So they don't even realize that they're saying it a lot of the time. It's just a standard response. So when you start to be that forest, you can't see the forest from the trees, as they say.
You can't see the forest from the trees, yeah.
Yeah. You start to have that outside perspective. That can be really powerful for ourselves to reframe in the moment, right, from what other people tell us, but also to help them to understand what they're saying at the same time.
Man, I love that. Thank you so much, Athin, for your time and energy and wisdom, man. This was a really fun episode. All right, let's jump into the sixth question I like to ask my guests. What is the one hobby that you wish you got into?
Martial arts.
Ooh.
I wish I got into that. I'm planning to get into it soon again, something. I'm still thinking about which one, but martial arts.
Nice. I love martial arts. One of my favorite genre of films is martial arts, kung fu, taekwondo, you name it. I grew up watching Jackie Chan, and I'm sure you've seen him as well.
Yeah, he's awesome, with some comedy in it as well.
Oh my God, he is a comedian. All right, next one. What did you want to be when you were a child?
When I was a child, it's a good question. I think it was probably like a really big sports star, right? Playing for the biggest teams in the world. I was a Manchester United supporter from when I was young. So if I could have played at the top level, I think that was definitely my dream. That's okay. It's whatever you strive for, it doesn't matter, but you go along your own path at the same time.
Yeah, you're in a totally different league now, brother.
That's it, definitely.
You're in a totally different league where you're helping so many entrepreneurs as a business coach, reach their own potentials. So it's a really great place to be. Next question. What is your favorite movie or TV show?
Ooh, movies. I really love the Ace Ventura movies with Jim Carrey. I think Jim Carrey is hilarious. And growing up, I used to know all the lines and, even from a young age, like Simpsons is another one. If I say a series, I would say The Simpsons from a young age. I can actually do voices. So I used to practice little voices and things growing up. So I could do all these different voices, and it was from movies that, I could just, pick it up, and I just all these different lines and they just come out from time to time because I just love those things. So I love Jim Carrey's humor, just very out there in what he does. And he's very passionate in doing different areas there with Ace Ventura. It's pretty funny and different ways there. So that's a bit of an inkling into me.
I love it, man. I'm going to have to ask you to do some of those voices later on if you're open to it.
I might do a couple, I won't do all of them, but I'll give a couple for a taste.
Just a couple of them. All right, sweet.
That's it.
All right. What is your favorite movie or TV show?
You just asked that one? Yes.
I know I did, right? What movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
What movie would I choose if I got to play a character? That's an interesting one. What movie? I think one movie that I liked as well that was fun was Beverly Hills Cop
Oh my God.
series with Eddie Murphy, and he's just he's got the action type thing, right, where he's the cop and everything like that, but he's also hilarious, as you know as well, and it's just all these different situations that he gets himself into, and he's just like, yeah, whatever, let's just go do that, and everyone's like, you can't do that, and he just does it anyway. I feel like it's a bit of an entrepreneur type thing, right? It's like all these people saying you can't do something,
So
and
true.
you just do it anyway. So I think I'd love to play Eddie Murphy in those movies.
Oh my God, I love that. Eddie Murphy is one of my favorites as well. Who is your favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero? I would say it's probably going to go, back to the old school ways of, just Superman. I watched Superman a lot growing up, and, he's got a variety of, powers, let's call it.
Yeah.
I love Superman in what he did. Yeah.
Nice. Last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
If I was a board game, what would it be? That's an interesting question. I think I would create a board game where it would be a bit like a maze, and the board game would change based on the decisions you make.
Oh, wow.
Because I like to think on my feet in different situations.
Mm-hmm.
So think about a maze, maybe like, I'm thinking like a Harry Potter movie here, where the maze changes as you go through it. So maybe there's a particular way to go down, but then something happens in that board game, and then that gets blocked off and you have to go a different way. So depending on what happens with certain cards that come out can actually change the game in that way there. So I think that would be a really powerful game that I'd love to be.
Man, I think you need to create that board game.
Sounds pretty cool, huh?
Just like you mentioned, right, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, at the end of the book, he mentions the cash flow quadrant, and then there's a cash flow board game. So maybe there's a board game that you create, which we can call it the entrepreneur board game or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I'll definitely take that on board and put my vision into reality.
I can connect you with a person who they create board games.
Interesting.
So
cool,
maybe
man.
there's a connection there.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
All right, man. Last question. Where can my entrepreneurs, superpreneurs find you? Yeah,
so easiest way is likely my website, which is athincassiotis.com, ATHINCASSIOTIS.com. I'm also on all the big, main platforms. So LinkedIn and Facebook, probably the main two that you, there's only one of me, right? With my name,
exactly.
Very unique, like Junaid.
Very unique name, yeah.
So very easy to find me online. Check it out. I've got an awesome, on my website, an awesome ebook for free that talks about how to get a bulletproof business mindset as well. Because as much as I go deep into the strategies and tactics of business, I think mindset is extremely important. So check that out on my website for free, so you can think like me in that way. And also, check me out on social media. I love to connect and just have a chat and see where we lead from there if you're needing any help with growing and scaling your business.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Athin. Let's hear those voices, man, that you promised us.
All right. So a lot of people know The Simpsons. So there's a character in The Simpsons called Snake. I don't know if you remember. Snake is like the guy that's in prison a lot.
Okay.
And he goes to steal this trampoline and he comes in, he's like, all right, I got myself a bed. Bye. So those that know Snake will probably be able to do that one.
Nice.
There's a robot voice that I do quite well. I can probably speak this all day if I wanted to.
Hello, my name is Athin. Thank you for interviewing me today, Junaid. It has been awesome for me to share my wisdom.
Oh my God, that is bollocks, man. That's amazing. I love it. I don't even know if I used the word bollocks correctly, but that was hilarious. The robot voice, man.
I'll do one more. I could even go to the female side and do an English tea lady with my voice, just to show you that my voice has
the broad range of your voice.
Broad range of voice. So English tea lady. So
I could not hear that at all. The voice didn't come through.
I didn't come through?
No.
Okay, let me try one more time.
I think there's some kind of
Interesting.
thing that's blocking your audio because of that voice. Do you have
maybe it's going
do you have suppressed background noises turned off or something?
potentially. Let me check that. Let's do this. So I'm gonna go low. Let me change this. I'll try it one more time. It's probably going, this isn't Athin, this is some woman in the background that's trying to say a voice. Let's try third time lucky. Let's do it. Hello there, darling. You look wonderful today. Let's have a cup of tea together.
There we go. Now we heard it. That was awesome, dude. Thank you so much, Athin. This was a ton of entertainment and wisdom all in a single show, guys. Thank you so much again. I'll definitely keep in touch and talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. We spoke with Athin Cassiotis today, and he runs a podcast called The Business Growth Show. Please go give it a listen. And if you want to connect with Athin, you can follow the links in the show notes. Thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you for listening to Hacks and Hobbies. You can find additional information on the guest today on their website, hacksandhobbies.com. Please feel free to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on upcoming interviews with amazing guests.